Hello, Frida Reba Darcy and Patricia O'Connor here, and happy Halloween, everyone. We are back at the house after our little walk, and gonna give a little look out and see how everybody's doing. I held off on watering this morning because everything still looked good from yesterday. It looked like a good time I could hold off for a little while and see how they look later, or see whether or not we got rain. And I think that's just now good. I think that could use a little water. This, as I said before, you scratch underneath, and if it's darker, look again tomorrow. Now, to finish that sentence, let's say knowing that just underneath, not even a quarter of an inch, it's slightly damp, right? So tomorrow I scratch it again, and when I get down, it looks like that. That's a quarter inch. I would probably still assume that with the pot being this deep, that if I got down to here, that it would probably still take that darker color for a day or so. So I'm amending my watering. I'm trying to say, okay, it's probably at this point that says check it again tomorrow. When I check it again tomorrow, even if it doesn't look like that at this point, I knew it did the day before, and so that probably tells me that it looks like that an inch or two farther down. So if you let your roots dry out in between waterings, I can probably let it go most days, compared to what I've been doing, a day longer than what I've been watering. And I put it that way because it's not cut and dry. Days can be hotter. You can water, and then the weather can turn really cool, and the air be real still, and that water just stay there. So your plant maybe slows down a little, and it's not evaporating off. So the next day it still looks like you just watered. So, you still have to look at it. But I believe, in the scheme of things, that it would probably be beneficial to this guy when I'm just learning. We're just figuring one another out here. And I'm thinking that even though what I've been saying is dig down that far down and look and see if it looks darker, check it again tomorrow. Okay, well then if it's lighter, you knew that it was damp the day before, so it's probably still damper farther down. Let it get a little drier before I water. That's what I think I've learned there. And the whole thing is, you could have told me that before, and I would have still had to learn what that timing meant. I would still had to have learned on my own how long it takes for this thing to dry out on a normal day, and then as opposed to a really hot day, and so forth and so forth. Tomorrow is the first day, I believe, of November. Yeah, tomorrow will be the first day of November. And I was told by a teacher when I bought this tree, that it would need transplanting in November. However, it doesn't feel like November. And I don't know that the trees have slowed down any yet. So I don't think I'm just going to look at the calendar and go, if it's November, we're going to repot this thing now. I think that probably means that we're going to give it a week or two and see if it starts acting. I'll ask, because timing is important on these pines. So I'll ask what the timing should be on these. I live like a mile away, maybe a little over a mile away from the person that I bought this tree from. So I'll be able to ask them at what time they're repotting their trees, and that'll be close enough. So I'm looking at a lot of these guys, and I don't think they need You know, some trees you water every day, every day, every day. And that would be, for the most part, what I do with the cypress trees and what I do with bougainvillea and the wisterias. Hot, cold, whatever, they get watered every day. I also think that by this soil, this substrate here, staying a little damper from the runoff, causes it to be less critical how soon it dries out in the pots. It's just a theory, but they seem to be holding up pretty well so far. And I'm happy with the way everything is looking in the in my tray there for my show hens. And we'll water. This guy gets a little less water. You can overwater a Dawn Redwood, but they don't like to go dry for long. It's not something, you don't want to dry those out a long time. And pardon my reach. Give that guy a little slurp. Get in and out. Nobody got hurt. I think you're okay. I watered you yesterday, so I know you're okay. I'm giving you another day. I just watered you. I watered you yesterday. It's not completely dry. I mean, I can still see where this has got. This is a little. It could go either way. If it were warmer, I would water this. But it's really cool right now. So we'll water this guy tomorrow. And that's how it looks back on the porch after I threw some wire on stuff. And as you can see, that's starting to bite in a little. That's probably about the limit of what I want that to do, or what I'm going to allow that to get away with. So I probably need to address, I'll need to address that. Not this one. This one's fine. That isn't the same wire as that one. That one, as you can see, is starting to bend in. I don't want that to roll over. I don't care if it digs in a little, but I don't want it to roll over that. Like, that might already be a little too much, but I think we're okay. I'm not scared. I ain't scared. It's Halloween. I think I told you on the last video, I've always had a kind of a bizarre connection with Halloween. My parents were starstruck kids when they got married. They were barely out of high school, and the proverbial broke kids in love. And they tried to find a place to get married, and they were having a hard time finding a place where they can have their wedding. And this church had an opening, and they went, yeah, we'll take it. And later on, they figured out the church was a Baptist church, and it had an opening because it was a Baptist church, which they, in that part of the world, they treated Halloween like it was the ugly opposite of Christmas. Like, that's what all the heathens go out and do things on Halloween. Like, that's all I needed to hear. I was addicted to Halloween from then on. You're okay. We'll let you go. Let's see. The trident maples are tricky to water. Those tiny little leaves, if you get them wet and leave water on them, they will get powdery mildew or something every single time. So however you decide to do it, you need to do it without getting water on those tiny little leaves, because that thing where people just like have that luscious little beach moment where the water's flowing and and it looks like some kind of paradise moment. That's how you catch stuff. That's why these guys would beat the crap already. It's because they got water on them. and then, or the wind, but water will do that to these especially. That's why they're over here. They loved that area until the wind blew, and then not so much. So yeah, you got watered yesterday and you're okay. Also, I can see the color on this. Well, actually, and also it'll do this. Nope, look at there. You see that little bit of we could water that. Not could, should. And this is another one that with all the construction we had going on, I'll let water hit the leaves a couple of times, you know, thinking that I need to get the dust off of it and stuff. And I actually gave the tree, the creeping cruds, some kind of fungus. So, and then I was having to put the neem to it and put the soap to it and put the oil to it. And then you see how I do these guys. I water each one of them. It's a little clumsy doing it with the one hand, like I'm doing here with the phone, but this is kind of, you know, I'm naturally clumsy anyway, so that's kind of like, in a way, that's sort of same old, same old. Then I do the old reach through and get that guy a little better. Drink up, slurp up, and put those wisterias back there. Some water. So that's got you. That's got you. You. Not you. You three guys. Look how red that looks when it gets a little water on it. Isn't that pretty? Stop pouring water everywhere. That. So, happy Halloween from the Bonsai Balcony and stuff. Let's see, what about my Ponderosa pine? It's a little harder to tell with this, but I believe it needs watering. I looked at it yesterday, and what I decided is that it possibly needed watering, but the Ponderosas take even less water than the Japanese black pines. So yesterday I decided it was dry enough to be watered, but I decided that I would do it today instead, because that would be like the first day that it was probably even dry. Also, it took me a minute to get some holes drilled into that pedestal, and so that pedestal was actually holding a little bit of water, and I'm really scared of messing with my roots by having my pots and standing water after I got in some mildew trouble last summer. Some of y'all might recall that. Just moderately freaked out there for a second. But otherwise, everything here is looking really nice. That's our Cork Bark Oak. I've got a little wire in all the right places. I've got more to do. There's that one little shoot looking right at us, midway up, that needs to be wired down as soon as it's a little older and can stand some wire. And there's some other shoots that I'm going to keep on the new branches as well, that I'll put some wire on those. Probably tonight during spooky movies or nerd porn or something, I'll bring that guy in and work on that wire that's biting into that limb, and probably reposition it and try to get it to do exactly what it's doing, just in a different spot, slightly different, not in those tracks, in other words. And our shoot coming up on our little ball cypress has almost outgrown the little piece of wire. Remember, it was like here just a couple of days ago, so that's what we've done since that. And it's got two branches coming out, and the apex of that looks like it's about to divide to the other way, which is kind of what they do. Give it a little Don't go too crazy, or you can snap those off, but you can actually start getting them going the way you want them to go. And then if you just do this, if you go all the way down, you can break those off, just like pinching them off. But if you do that, you won't have to wire them down later. They'll do that. And if you don't, they kind of look up like they kind of point up too much, like these are. I can wire those down later. I'm not really worried. But sharing the stuff. Need to cut. You can see where I did this and put this bend in. I should probably cut this right here and let those two fork out so that I can cut that, because now that's too long. It does that long, it comes out and then does that hook. So then this piece is as long as the piece before it, so I should probably cut it back to there where these little growths are. We'll get those to be the next piece and take it back the other way. And so yeah, meanwhile, I don't have to do all of this right this minute. Everybody is just putting out stuff and looking good and getting, we've had a lot of things to get used to. I have, let's see, since August a year ago, these 3 trees were over there in tubs, and then they got moved to this planter and placed there, and then they got moved to the center of the rail before coming down and going under the lights. So yeah, I've kind of jerked them around a little, but they're where they're going to be now. Like I haven't said that before, but I think when you're evolving into a system, and sometimes before you get finished with your next part of the system, you already see where if you had a third time to do, you might do it a little different. Well, I'm saying this is kind of what we settled into, and they will more or less be there like that until they get replanted, and that will be in 2 or 3 years. Who knows, whatever that is. Whatever it is, we shouldn't go cutting anything back too much, because it's making good headway right now, and we're going in a good direction. All the things you want to see. Cypress trees. Pretty easy peasy. And so that is pretty much an afternoon walkabout with a look and a quick water of our trees. And happy Halloween. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe. I'm thinking about a Q&A. It'll be a minute yet, because I'll probably do it at 1,000 subscribers. So that'll be like 2 or 3 days after Hell Freezes over, but just right then I'll probably do a Q&A. So I'm an open book. Save those questions. I'll be thinking of your questions or queries for Patricia, and we can play Stump the Bonsai Person. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Happy Halloween from the Bonsai Balcony, and yeah, good night.